We got a collection of awful mayors in cities that shouldn't have awful mayors. Eric Adams looks like he's in trouble. We talked about with Andrew Cuomo, who I don't think is anybody's idea of who would be an ideal mayor for New York City. Chicago, I think we mentioned this on the show, but it does beg repeating, Buck. Brandon Johnson is the mayor of Chicago. They managed to replace Lori Lightfoot with someone worse than Lori Lightfoot in Chicago. Brandon Johnson now has a 6.5% approval rating in Chicago. I've never seen any politician manage to hit single digits. That's really tough to do. 80% of Chicagoans say, hey, Brandon Johnson is awful. Karen Bass couldn't stop her city from burning down. And now she fired the fire chief, and she's conducting an investigation on why she went to Ghana instead of being in LA to help put out the fire. San Francisco.
Imagine launching a commission. Why am I so bad at my job?
Yes, that's really funny. They're investigating why she's awful at her job in LA. San Francisco kicked London Breed. I don't even know that we hardly talked about it, but London Breed, the incumbent mayor of San Francisco, was kicked to the curb. And you just have a series of big city Democrat mayors all doing awful jobs, which brings me to Michelle Wu. She is the mayor of Boston. There was a shoot. Let me kind of get into some of these details. Essentially, there was a person running around threatening everyone in Boston in a Chick-fil-A. This guy had a knife, and he was trying to attack multiple people. And the Boston police showed up, and they shot the guy. You would think, hey, maybe we extend thanks to the police for protecting everyone from Boston. An off-duty Boston cop protects everybody. Instead, the Boston officials offered condolences to the would-be knife attacker. This is cut one.
My condolences and all of our thoughts are with the family of the individual whose life has been lost.
Our thoughts and prayers are with the family and friends of the individual who's been lost.
So our condolences go to the individual who was killed tonight.
Buck, the guy had a knife at Chick-fil-A threatening people. Thank the Lord the off-duty Boston cop was there. But what kind of world are we living in when would-be killers are apologized to and offered condolences when they are shot and killed? I mean, this is crazy town.
Yeah, imagine if, there was a suicide bomber somewhere who blew himself up and killed a bunch of people, and the first thing the authorities said was, I'm very sorry about the individual who blew himself up. It was really a tragic day for him and his family. This is the progressive left at their ultimate ends. They do believe in this kind of inversion of sanity and morality, such that the victimizers are the victims in their minds. This is a common theme for them. It's true on a whole range of issues. I remember recently I believe it was in Virginia, there was a cop, it was an Asian American police officer, and a large, like 6'2" or 6'3", female member of the former member of the Georgetown University basketball team. Do you remember this? And she came out during a wellness
Oh,
check
yeah.
with a butcher knife and slashed the cop up badly too. I mean, he was blood all over his face, his hands, and he was begging her, please drop stop, drop the knife. And he had to draw his service weapon and use it to defend himself. And there were people who were saying that was excessive force publicly afterwards. You got guys getting stabbed in his face by a maniac, and there is an anti-cop left that said, and they're of course, it's racist. It wouldn't have happened if this wasn't if she wasn't black. These are the things that were being said. These people are just crazy. I mean, I don't just mean the ones that are doing these violent things and getting shot. I mean those who support or their first reaction is to offer support to the memory of and the family of those who. Yeah, look, everyone's allowed to have a funeral. Like every family's allowed to grieve. We get that. But public pronouncements about people that are attempted murderers who are killed in the act, I wonder where does that stop, right? I mean, if somebody holds up a liquor store, shoots two people, and cops have to draw down on him and shoot him, is that now public condolences being offered by the mayor or the governor or whatever for the guy who shot people in the liquor store hold up? His life was lost too. What is this? And as you played that audio, it wasn't just the mayor. It was a number
Yeah.
of officials in Massachusetts, in Boston.
And I just, this is where Democrats really, unfortunately, have to wallow in the awfulness of their choices. And a lot of people who are rational and didn't vote for these people have to deal with it too. I actually feel sorry because, Boston is a fabulous city. Chicago is a fabulous city. San Francisco, LA. I mean, these are really great places to visit. And because Democrats are making awful choices about who is leading their cities, even if you're in the group that's voting against them, you're being held hostage by these choices.
I can make this very easy because I've lived this in New York at different times. If you can't walk out from your home at night and go to the grocery store or go to get on the subway to get somewhere and feel like it would be, bad things happen in cities. I understand that, but it would be shocking to my family and my neighbors if something were to happen to me in this situation. If you can't have that feeling of baseline security, you don't care how beautiful the architecture in the downtown is. You don't care what the job opportunities are in the financial district. Nothing else really matters to you in your day-to-day life. If every time you walk out of your home, you think to yourself, I have to be on high alert. There are real problems here, and bad stuff is happening to good people all the time. That's just the reality of living in a city in America, and it just doesn't have to be this way.
And you and I are dudes, we're 6 foot, weigh a decent amount. Women, wives, girlfriends, daughters, granddaughters, the amount of times that they are feeling terrified walking through city streets should never be happening as often as it is. And let me give you another example,
sometimes
Buck.
I have a loaded gun on me too, and I'm pretty darn good with it. So, I feel pretty safe walking around here. It'd be a bad day for somebody to decide that they're going to try to victimize me.
Well, I walked everywhere in Miami when I was just down with you, and I never felt a pinprick of
I'm going to tell you
lack
something.
of safety.
I have friends on the Miami Beach Police Department here. One in particular is pretty high up, and their attitude is, we're here to serve the residents. We're not here to harass people. We're not here to do, a little sort of Mickey Mouse nonsense and everything. We're just here to keep order and keep safety for the residents of Miami Beach. And they're totally backed up in that. So it's very nice here, very safe here.
I'll say this, and I think I mentioned it on the show when we did it. When were you and I in New York City at the same time? Like September, October of last year, I think. You remember when you needed to get something at a drugstore near like where we were staying?
I know,
like,
you were
not
so
a bad
shocked.
area.
I've been talking about it for a long time when you saw that everything is under lock and key.
I couldn't believe we walked into whatever CVS, Walgreens, whatever the heck it was, and Rite Aid, I don't know what it was, but virtually every single product, like I think you wanted to get a toothbrush and like toothpaste, and you couldn't do it without it being unlocked. Where I live, I was in disbelief that New York City, in a like not far from Times Square, like a fairly nice neighborhood.
It's the commercial heart of the city. Okay, so
Right.
it's where all the Broadway theaters are. That was my drugstore too. That was on my old block. That was the other thing that you realized.
The idea that you could go to watch a Broadway play and you walk out and you're on your way back to your hotel and you're like, hey, you know what? I forgot my toothbrush or I forgot my toothpaste, or you just want to get something for the hotel room. You have to have an employee come out and unlock the toothpaste. I mean, that is just, to me, that's a sign of a city in failure. And the next step, you know what happens after that, Buck, is the store has to close because there's lots of people like me who would just be like, screw it. You know what? I don't even need to get that. I'm not going to go in. I don't want to have to spend the time to go find an employee to unlock this thing, to come get, I'll ask for toothpaste at the front desk. I'll run into a deli. I'll find some, like, the idea that could happen. Eventually, the next step is profit margins are going to go down, right? And eventually what you're seeing happen is all these places are closing. You know where I'm going this weekend, Buck? I'm going to San Francisco. I haven't been to San Francisco in years. I'm told I actually am kind of like I'm not going to have a car, but I was told by a friend out there. They were like, "Hey, are you going to have a car?" And I was like, no, flying in, just take an Uber or whatever." He said, "Because if you take a car, if you have a car," he said, "and you're not parking it behind like securitized areas," he was like, "leave your car door unlocked and just leave nothing in it because the windows get broken. It's better to just leave your car unlocked and let people get." This is what life is like in San Francisco. Better to leave your car unlocked and just let somebody get inside and see if they have anything they want to steal. Then you come back. Certainly don't leave anything in it. Then you come back, the windows punched out, and you've got a rental car, and you're like, what do I do with a broken window? I mean, this is real. The fact that people are living in these cities and just making choices like these because they've come to accept that that level of crime is just what life requires in cities is such a Democrat failure. And I feel like the quality of life aspects, it's all their own choice, but we don't talk about it enough, honestly, all over the country.
Democrats don't want to admit that they were wrong with all of this. So that's another challenge that their party has going forward. We were just talking a lot about safety, and I was telling you, look, I sometimes I travel around and I've got lethal self-defense on me. I've got a bunch of guns here, but for a lot of people, and I know this is true of my wife, Carrie, she prefers to carry or to have here in the home non-lethal self-defense options. We just want the threat to stop. We just don't want to be victimized. We don't want to be in a position where we can't or where she can't defend herself. So this is where Saber comes in. Yes, I've got, a gun safe full of all kinds of stuff, but I also near the gun safe have a whole range of non-lethal self-defense products from our friends at Saber. This is a company that's been around for 50 years, operated now by second generation of the same family. We know the leadership. They're total believers in Saber themselves. They have it for their family. They have the launchers. They have the pepper sprays. Saber's home defense projectile pepper spray launcher may just be the ultimate choice for you for non-lethal home defense. Small enough to hold in one hand, fires off a round projectile full of pepper spray, slowing down an intruder or attacker. In these moments when someone invades your home, that's what you need. Saber's projectiles pack a serious non-lethal punch, creating a 6-foot pepper cloud upon impact, causes intense sensory irritation. Also gives you force escalation options, right? You can use the non-lethal, and then if you have to, heaven forbid, you can go beyond that. But starting with non-lethal makes so much sense. Just look at how law enforcement does it. Go to saberradio.com, S-A-B-R-E radio, saberradio.com. You'll save 15% when you go to that website today. That's Saber, S-A-B-R-E radio.com, or get ready for this number, 844-824-SAFE. That's 844-824-SAFE.